Good morning. You are listening to Morning Coffee with Kevin. I'm your host, Kevin Peterson. Welcome back to another show. And I hope everybody is starting off their day right. I hope everybody's having a positive day. Good morning. And I hope everybody has at least had their first cup of coffee. As for me, I am working on my first cup of coffee as I record this podcast. So before we really get too deep into the show this morning, I want to talk about musicians and young musicians. And when you're starting off, when you're young, and you have this fire and this drive in you, and you want to become a musician, you look up to the musicians and the bands of your childhood and your adulthood. The people you listen to are the people you look up to and that you admire. And I can't speak for other musicians. I can only speak for myself. And for me, there's been a few artists along the way, growing up as a child myself, in the 60s, in the early 70s. I listened to people like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Iron Butterfly, the Beatles. I listened to all this great music, and hands down, folks, they don't make music like they used to. My generation of music will never be surpassed. That generation of music will never be outdone. It'll just never happen. It'll just never happen, especially with the way the music industry is going now. But I don't want to get off topic here. So these are the artists that I listened to growing up as a kid. There's a lot of artists that I'm not mentioning, but, I think my biggest influence, my absolute biggest influence, was Deep Purple. And now that we open up this can of worms, I do want to say something, because there's been a lot of questions asked, and I'm gonna finalize this right now, and I'm gonna set things straight. My biggest influence was Deep Purple. Their guitar player, Ritchie Blackmore, who I looked up to, and I still look up to this day. He was an amazing guitar player, the finest guitar player in the world, hands down. I don't think anybody has ever surpassed Ritchie Blackmore. He was just an amazing guitar player. Now, that's just my opinion, but I think the guy was the best, and I don't think there's been anybody as good as him since. I looked up to Ritchie Blackmore of Deep Purple, and I looked up to John Lord of Deep Purple, who was their organ player. And hands down, I don't think anybody surpasses John Lord. He was the most amazing organ player, and he could manipulate the Hammond organ like nobody could. And, anybody who knows me knows that this guy had such a phenomenal impact on my life. I mean, think about this for a minute. I never met this guy. He didn't have a clue to who I was, but this guy had such an impact on my life that I don't think I would be where I am today in the music industry without having the influence of John Lord. I named my son after him. I mean, that's how much of an influence this guy had on my life. I named my son Jonathan after Jonathan Douglas Lord. The guy was an amazing writer. an amazing composer, an arranger. Everything this guy touched in the music industry basically turned to gold. But getting back to Ritchie Blackmore, there's been people who've said that, I looked up to him in my early days, but in my adulthood, I hated the guy. No, I never hated him. Hate is such a harsh word. I disliked the person that he is. As far as a musician, this guy is just top notch. As a compassionate person, I think the guy was an asshole. I've said it. I think the guy was an asshole. Most of the musicians that worked with him said that he was just arrogant, an asshole, and he treated the fans horribly. He wouldn't sign autographs. Now, these are the people that buy your records. These are the people that buy your merchandise. These are the people that go to your shows. Why would you do this? Well, who knows? So, to answer that age-old question, no, I do not hate Ritchie Blackmore. I dislike the person that he was. I don't know that he's still like that. He may be. I don't know. Who knows? I don't really keep up on that kind of stuff anymore. I think Purple was a totally different animal once Ritchie Blackmore left the band. When he left the band went through many changes, and I just don't think they were good. The music was still okay, but I just think that a lot of the changes that Deep Purple went through were not beneficial to the band. Anyways, my opinion, you can think whatever you want. But getting back to what I was saying, no, I don't hate Ritchie Blackmore. I dislike the person that he became or he was, and he was probably that way his entire career. Who knows? So I did not like that part about him. As a musician, I respected him on the highest level. But the person who had the most impact on me would have been John Lord, the organ player from Deep Purple, which this whole topic and me talking about this is all leading up to what I'm about to tell you. Now, over the years, many artists have influenced me. I think one of the greatest Southern rock bands to ever exist was the legendary Lynyrd Skynyrd. That band was plagued with all kinds of sorrow and misery. They were a great band. They were from Jacksonville, Florida. They were just great musicians, and they produced a ton of great music. And as I'm recording this podcast this morning, I woke up to the news that the last of the surviving original members of Lynyrd Skynyrd, which was Gary Rosington, has passed away. Lynyrd Skynyrd did not have the same impact on me that Deep Purple did, but they did have a huge impact on me as far as musical direction, style of music. I admired everybody in that band. They were all great musicians. They were great people. They loved their fans, and they had no problem signing autographs. they were just a great band. But I woke up to the news this morning that Gary Rosington, the last original member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, has passed away at the age of 71. They did not say what the cause of death was. I don't think that information is yet available. I do believe that he had heart issues. I believe I had read that somewhere, but but I don't know. I'm don't take that as my word is gold, because I don't know that for a fact. But I do know that he passed away on Sunday, March 5th, 2023, and it's just sad news. I mean, all of these, all of these artists that I listened to growing up as a kid, are slowly disappearing. And, it makes you realize that just how fast life goes by and time goes by, and it makes me sit back and think, I'm not a young man anymore. And, and I remember listening to this music when I was a very young man. So it's just kind of sad to see these people finally leaving the earth, and it's just kind of eye-opening, and it makes you think. I was a huge fan of Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, all that great music, The Doors, and all of them died so young. They died so young. But the music lives on, and, I think that should be the positive outlook that comes from this conversation is even though these amazing musicians are leaving us now because they're in their later stages of life, that that the legacy that they leave behind for us is so amazing, and we are so lucky to have these recordings that are left behind to still listen to for years and years and years to come. And it just kind of hits home when I see these people start disappearing. But it's life, and everybody has to go through this. Everybody's born and everybody dies, and that's just the way life is. So on a positive note, on a happier note, I want to talk about I talked in the last episode about projects that I'm working on, different artists I'm working on. I want to talk about a band that I was a co-founder of, and we formed back in 1985. December of 85 is when we formed. And my memory's not quite as good as it used to be, talking about old age. And we formed in 1985, December of 1985, and as of January of 86, we began some very intensive sessions and started working. And the band was called Fugitive, and I've mentioned this before, but my record label has decided to go through the vault and the stack of recordings, because in my younger years, I was very meticulous, and every time we practiced, every time we played live, every time we went in the studio, I recorded everything. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of tape. I mean, it's just unreal. And my label now is going to archive all of this stuff. We're going to go through all the old tapes. We're going to transfer everything to a digital format, and we're going to reissue our records that we had released back in the day, and we're going to release some new material, some material that's never been heard by the public before, which I think is really amazing because some of this material is 35 years old, and it's never been heard by the public. I mean, it was probably heard by just the musicians that were involved and the engineer. The engineer or, anybody who may have been hanging around the studio at the time. I know back in those days, girlfriends used to frequent the studio while recording. I never did like that. I didn't like that at all. But anyways, my label is doing an archive project and a restoration project of the Fugitive Band, and we are going to reissue. I can't even speak. We're going to reissue the first release we did, which was called Stormy Afternoon. We are going to issue basically a reissue of a live recording that we did on Christmas Eve. That must have been 1988, 87 or 88 we did that. I'd have to go back and look. It's been so long. But we're going to release our studio album, which was, again, Stormy Afternoon. We're going to do the live on stage, and we are going to also release a whole bunch of material that has never been heard before. And we're going to release some old rehearsal sessions, demos. We're going to release a bunch of stuff, probably do like a box set. I don't know. There might even possibly be a deluxe version of this box set that might include some video footage. Now, I spoke with somebody who used to hang around with the band back in the day, and they're telling me that they shot video footage of the band back then that I was unaware of. And I don't believe that we would have allowed that without, written consent. And, I mean, we were always pretty, legal savvy when it came to stuff like that. And I just don't believe that we would have ever allowed anybody to videotape us or record us without some kind of, written consent. So there's possibly some video footage of us out there from the early days. And if there is, we may include that on the box set. But that's one of the projects that I'm going to work on throughout this year. It's pretty intensive. I mean, there's a lot to do. There's a process you have to go through with analog tape. Most people probably have no clue about this. But when that tape is sat for years, the glue that holds the backing on the tape, it separates, and it has to be put through a process called baking. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You have to put the reel of tape in an oven at a specific temperature and bake it so that the glue or the adhesive really kind of goes back to doing what it was supposed to do, and that is holds the tape together. Otherwise, you run your tape through a tape machine, and it'll just shred, and it'll just leave sticky residue all over your tape heads, and then you really got a problem. But anyways, I'm not going to get into the technical aspect of all that. There's just a lot involved. There's really a lot involved, and we're gonna work on this archive project and this remastering project, and I'm hoping by the end of 2023, I'm hoping that we can have this project ready to go, and at least have the live album and the studio album out. I know we're going to include some stuff on the studio album that was not originally released on the original release, where I think what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 releases, or it's going to be released as a double CD set, and the first disc is going to have the original album as it was released back in the day, or and then the second album or the second disc will have a remixed and remastered, a remixed and remastered version of it, which will have additional tracks that weren't available. I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. I'm just kind of talking. I'm not really sure, but this is a pretty big project, and I'm excited about that. I look forward to it. And we'll just have to kind of, see how things go. Anyways, that's really about it. I know I told you people that we were working on still trying to find a venue for my current band, the Kevin Peterson Band's CD release, which is May 13th. It's Saturday, May 13th, 2023. We still do not have a venue for the release party. We had a venue secured, and they had double booked, and the other artist was booked first, and they made a mistake when booking us. So being that the other artist booked first, they got precedence, and they got the venue, and we got kicked out. So now we're looking for a new venue for the CD release party, and I've got that going on. So as soon as I have a definite on where the project is going to be held, I will definitely let everybody know. And again, I mentioned this, I believe, in the last episode. We still have quite a few tickets left for the CD release party. They are $10 in advance. They are $20 at the door if we have any tickets left. And so you can contact me through email in the description for the podcast. There is a link to our YouTube channel, the Manila Dawn Records YouTube channel, and there is the Manila Dawn Records at Gmail email address. So just shoot me an email. Let me know if you're interested in acquiring 1, 2, 3, 10 tickets, whatever you're interested in, and I can get you taken care of. So that's really about it. It's been kind of, like I said, a strange morning. I woke up to the news again of Gary Rosington of Leonard Skinner passing away at the age of 71. He was the last surviving original member of this band. It's weird to me to see a band go on and continue to record and perform live when none of the original members are even still in the band. It's just become a business. It's become a way for the greedy record companies to just continue on with a name, a brand, and make money. And I get that, but I kind of feel as if, it's not a band anymore. It's done. It's over with. You can only beat a dog so many times. all the original members are gone, and, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And that's sad. It's, sad to see that they're all gone now. But anyways, I am going to wrap up today's show. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope everybody has a positive day. It looks as if the rain is through with, and we're going to start seeing some sun and possibly even some warm days. As of right now, the weather's still a little cool, but the sun is out. That's positive, and I'm looking forward to some warm days. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking with you again on Morning Coffee with Kevin next week. Have a great day. Peace.